Our final portion of the timeline, so to speak, of geological history is the era we currently live in today, the Cenozoic Era, which means the current or modern animal life. That goes from 66 million years ago to today, million years ago, so it keeps going on. People have argued that maybe we have transitioned into a new era, given things like all the different types of changes that we've made as humans, as a society, to things like technology and stuff like that, but that's still debatable. It's broken up into a couple different periods, and in those periods, we'll actually use epochs in this case because there's so many interesting little things that occur within each of these little periods. So the Paleogene period is the next one right after the dinosaurs die off. That's going to run from 66 to 23 million years ago. And the Paleogene is the older of the group. It's broken up a couple different epochs. The first one's the Paleocene, 66 to 56 million years ago. The big key thing is that Tethys Sea continues to break up. As these continents move apart, the Mediterranean Sea and the Indian Ocean form. You also have a fight for who's going to become the dominant land animals now that all of a sudden the dinosaurs are gone. So you're going to have things like mammals and birds and other reptiles fighting for who becomes the dominant land group. And it's going to be close for a while. You have things like terror birds, these large, gigantic, flightless birds running around that were anywhere from 10 to 12 feet tall, that were carnivorous, and they were also trying to vie for the right to be the dominant group. We know mammals, since we're part of that group, become the dominant land group, and they are still a dominant land group. The next one is the Eocene epoch, 56 to 33.9 million years ago. The Alps form, because Italy smashes into Europe. As these little small plates move around, it gets pushed between both the African plate and the European plate, and gets pushed together, forming the mountain range. If you look at Italy, you can see the Alps form a little ring shape around the top of it. The Oligocene epoch, from 33.9 to 23 million years ago. The Himalayas are formed. They're still forming, because India, which has been roaming around as its own separate little plate, smashes into Asia, thus forming the Himalayas, and still smashing into it, thus causing it to get taller and taller. The Neogene period is the next one. Neogene, 23 to 2.6 million years ago. First one's the Miocene epoch, from 23 to 5.3 million years ago. Big key thing here, Antarctica forms the first ice sheets. So the ice that we see today on there wasn't there until this time period, and it gets covered with ice. And it's been covered over since then. So we start to see the evolution of all those things like penguins and the animals that are basically adapted to live in that environment. Prior to that, you had animals living there who were different kinds of things. There were different reptiles, different birds, different mammals, things that were able to move and go across an area where it was ice-free. The Pliocene epoch, from 5.3 to 2.6 million years ago. Humans show up at the end of this time period. This is kind of the big deal. Humans show up in the fossil record. We keep finding new fossils that push this date back a little bit further each time. But we keep finding and understanding that the first humans and members of the Homo genus start to show up at this time period, the first hominids. The Quaternary period, the one we currently exist in, runs from 2.6 million years ago to the present time. The first of these epochs is the Pleistocene. You know by a different name. You call it the Ice Ages. Because 2.6 million years ago to 0.011 million years ago, so we're talking about 10,000 years ago. So this is when the Ice Ages occurred. Multiple time periods of ice coming down further on the continents and then retreating, coming down further continents, retreating. It shapes our land masses. It shapes, especially where we live. We live here in Warrensburg on top of a moraine, the end of a big glacier where it pushed all the soil in front of it. And so you go further down the southern part of our state into the states below us, you get much more mountainous terrain because the glaciers didn't go that far down. So you get all these different kinds of sort of changes to our topography. And you lose a lot of previous history because it gets scraped away as these big glaciers run through there. Continental glaciations occur around 1.1 million years ago. That's when they really start and to be the largest amount of them. And so you're going to get weird things like you could have walked from Florida to many of the different islands in the Caribbean because when the glaciers were that way, the sea levels are so low that many of those spots had places where you could walk from lots of different areas. You may have to swim across small little strips of water, but less and less of that, or take little boats. So animals and plants and humans are able to move around in different places, including going from Asia to North America, and also going through different parts of, you could have walked from England to France because the North Sea was basically a grassland, it was a big valley. And so that's why they do find mammoth bones and human settlements under the North Sea and under the English Channel, because that used to be grasslands. Mammoths occur in this time frame. Obviously, we're familiar with them. They were found here in Illinois. They were found throughout North America. They were found throughout Europe. They were something we're familiar with, that we think of these iconic animals, along with things like saber-toothed cats. And also humans are here in the United States and North America. One of our big animals was the giant ground sloth, which was anywhere from 12 to 13 feet in height on their hind legs, and had basically chainmail bones underneath their fur for protection. They were found in this area. Humans come to North America. Theories are argued about all the time about this. The most common one is going to be that it came over from the land bridge from Siberia because it was connected. Some people have argued it came straight from Europe by using ice floes and following the ice floes and basically taking simple boats, like hunters would do today, from the Inuit people going along ice floes to hunt things like seals. They were able to come from Europe to North America because there's ice all the way across. The Holocene epoch, 0.011 million years ago to the present. Big key thing, modern human civilization. So really think about all the things you learn in world history class. The Egyptians, the Greeks, all that history is really only occurring in that last 10,000 years. Prior to that, there was humans around, but we didn't have the civilization we think of. We had smaller groups, things like that. But when we think of all of our big civilizations, they're occurring in this small last section. So a very tiny little minuscule portion of the history of the planet Earth. So you can see the two basic big periods here of the Cenozoic Era. Tertiary is now no longer tertiary. It's been broken up in those two we just discussed.